Alright, so Pepsi has been taking over oblock. Pepsi's been taking over oblock, guys. We have to take the block back. Otherwise, our production is going to go down. And you know what happens when the boss sees our production going down? He don't like it. And y'all ain't going to get paid. So I'm going to need y'all to rally the troops and meet me at 7 o'clock tonight at the old shed. 7 o'clock tonight at the old shed. So we can plan this out, go to war, and take care of business. Alright? Because this Pepsi shit is not going to go down right. This Pepsi shit ain't going to work out. So, meet up with my homeboys 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock tonight. Old shed. I said again, 7 o'clock tonight. Old shed. We're going to ride up on the opps on oblock at midnight. We're going to ride up on them at midnight and walk them down. We're going to walk them down. We're going to show them whose area this really is, who owns this block, who spins this block. We're going to show them. We're going to gut them down, son. We're going to walk them down. We're here to slang that sugar, that booger sugar. That's what we're here to do. Slang that dang rock. Real or synthetic, it don't matter. Sucrose, aspartame, even sodium chloride, we out here slanging that white powder, baby. Ain't nobody gonna take away our business. 7 o'clock, old shed. You already know the security passwords. Just
Bonjour, je m'appelle Operation Poor. Bienvenue à la montagne. So today we're tied in the middle of a gang war between the Sprite gang and the PepsiCo gang. We are taking hush money. I mean, you know, as patriotic Americans, we are siding with the PepsiCo products, but to hunt down these thugs and to put them to justice and not shove that $1 million in our pockets, we're going to need a couple things. So first, newer generation Balefang radios, like the UV25R or the 5RN. Okay, either one will work. I'm going to use the UV25. As long as it has the single touch scan, that's what we're after, guys, the single touch scan. So this one is side button 1, you hold it. Searching UHF frequencies, we're going to go through. What the Somebody's talking on digital right now. Somebody's talking on digital. That's not what we're looking for here. We're searching VHF frequency right now. Searching VHF right now. And what it's doing, it is looking for a constant, so like more than 6-second signal, and also a fairly strong signal. That's the biggest thing. It's going to tell us the DCS tones or the CTCS tones, so the squelch tones. It's going to tell us the exact frequency and all that. Alright, so we're still searching, and look, it found it right there. Oh look, I'm hearing the Sprite gang, sounds like. when you pick it up, we're here in the Sprite gang right now. You hit the green right here. So you're going to hit the side one button right here. Hit the scan once, go to VHF. Now you can actually do 200, which is some airband and or repeaters, and you can also do 350, which is like military channels, which is really cool. And this is all analog, by the way. But we went to VHF, picking up the gang. We got the frequency. It's running a D026N squelch code. Then you hit this, and it'll make it a channel, essentially. So, yeah, it's the green button. So you hit the green one. I'll put it channel 99 right now. So I went down, scrolled through the menu, I put it to channel 99. I'm going to go to channel mode. Type in 999. Here we are, so we're listening now. Alright, so anyways guys, so in real life, if I wasn't trying to just emulate that, it would have worked. If they were constantly transmitting and staying under like a 6 second, or staying over 6 seconds, it would have picked up on it, and then you would have held, on the UV25R, you would have held this green button right here. You would have held that in, and then it would have said which channel do you want to save it to, then you would have hit it to confirm, and then the squelch tones and everything will be saved in there. If it sounds like a garbled mess, they're probably running scramble, but Baofangs are probably the most common radio in America, to be honest with you, so you could probably go through the 3 scramble settings and figure that out. Now with this one's a little bit different. You can still scan, and it'll pick up the strongest signal from any band. We picked up UHF. There was somebody talking on a digital repeater around here. Somebody was talking digital, and UHF in these hills, that means they're probably within a mile or 2 of me right now. So it's probably not a good sign. I mean, that's real talk. That ain't even training. There's something going on. Digital. So there's probably game wardens around. I ain't gonna shit you for real. That's probably what it is. But you know, it don't matter. But essentially, we're gonna use this one to find the opposition. So all you need to find the ops is a radio to scan it, get that information, put it into this radio, plug this radio into a Yagi Uda antenna or some other directional antenna. If you don't know what that is, here you go. So essentially, you have elements, you have a reflector, you have a normal dipole right here, which is just a normal antenna, and then you have an element, a driver, I believe actually. So a reflector, a driver, and then you can have different size elements. But essentially, you have your quarter wavelength or half wavelength dipole antenna right here. Then you have something that's slightly longer right here. It's kind of like a bigger ground, so to speak. So it pushes back a little bit. And then these elements up here kind of draw the wave in. The radio waves are electromagnetic. Requires magnetism and, you know, electricity to work. I'm trying to like be very specific and like very simple on this. That's not what this video is. This is simply about the equipment. But essentially, this is a point antenna. So let's say I'll hook it to the radio using some coax, and you can build this yourself. Plenty of good YouTube videos. This is literally a tape measure and a beam, and then I soldered 2 wires onto the tape measure dipole, and then I just cut some coax and added I believe this is a SMA connector, whatever the Baofang, the top of the Baofang is. And anyways, essentially, you're just going to scan until you get good signal, and then it's like, oh, it's that way. Now, I would incorporate, I did not bring with me, but I was really thinking about that on the drive up here. I would 100% incorporate a compass and a map, especially if you're in unknown territory. Now, the reason being for that is to use this effectively and not just kind of eyeball it. You can look from like a top-down view, like a topographic map, or if you have satellite imagery, and if you hear any radio chatter like I did, I was sitting there and I was listening to it with that radio, and then you can scan with the other radio, you can get more information. So essentially, I'm going to have this recording playing, and I know it's silly, but like this is to really save lives and stuff. I wanted to make a silly story and like whatever. Essentially, there's a gang war, and the Sprite and the Pepsi gang were going at it, and the Sprite gang was planning an attack on the Pepsi gang at midnight. That was in the comms, what I heard. They weren't using OPSEC or anything like, they were just being straightforward about it because they were mad. And they said 7 p.m. at the shed. So that gives me, like, if I'm looking at a top-down view, like a satellite map, and I see a shed or like a barn or something, I can kind of be like, hey, or if I send a drone out in the general area, once we kind of lock in on the location with the Yagi-Uda antenna, if I can do that and I see a big shed, and then he said, you know, in that recording, he said, meet at the shed at 7 p.m. like 4 or 5 times, I can almost guarantee that's where they're going to be. You know, intelligence is everything, and this is mainly about getting a general idea of where they're at, but especially if they mention like landmarks or something very obvious, you want to keep that down. You know, you want to write that down and just keep it in notes and keep it in your head so you can plan your assault on the objective using that. Essentially what we're doing is fox hunting at this point. Now this is all analog. You can do the same thing with DMR. You just need DMR radios or digital coded radios and stuff like that. And I'm not saying this will work 100% of the time. This is just something that I haven't seen any videos on whatsoever, and I know for a fact it works. If I had more people out here, it would be a lot easier to show you this, because I got to tape the receiver on one, and then, you know, it has a timeout, and it's been a pain. I didn't know that, so I got up here trying to make this video, so I apologize for that. This was going to be a lot more cinematic, but just bear with me. So essentially, all you need for the opposition, like I said, is a newer generation Baofeng UV25. If it has the like blue screen right here, man, you can hardly see that. A screen like that. So the 5 ARM, 5 RM, all those. If it has the one touch frequency hop or something like that, it's a one touch frequency finder. That's what you want. And the signal does have to be strong, but if it's in like a mile or two radius, I've had it work. And I know it sounds crazy, but all it does is pick up on the strongest possible signal VHF range, the 200 megahertz range, the 350 megahertz range, and the UHF range, which is kind of crazy that it does all that, especially with like military and helicopters usually do around the 300, 320, and 350, but it's whatever. Lot of information, but this is how to find the ops. Like I said, we're going through this again. You find it with one radio, you scan and you find something, and then you program it into this radio, which I could scan it and then just have it in here, but then you take this radio. Of course I grabbed the wrong adapter. Love when I do that, you know. Grab the wrong adapter. Heck yeah. But essentially what you do, you get your little handheld, so you got it connected through the coax like this. And then what you're going to do is, you're just going to sit here. I mean, literally, you know, you got your map and your compass, and you sit here. So just pretend the radio's connected. RIP, I swear. I thought I came prepared. I really did. This is terrible. So let's say that tree in the middle of the field over there, like that is where they're broadcasting from. Now, this won't get you like pinpoint exactly, like, oh, there's a tree there, but it'll probably start picking up really good about here, and then really good about here, because it's like a V. This thing shoots out like a V. So the farther away it is, the more area that you can pick up. But especially if you keep these things in a high gain setting, you make them with 3 to 10 decibels of gain. Every decibel of gain that you have kind of narrows it down, and that's what you want. You want to make this thing as narrow as possible, so that typically involves making as many elements up here as possible, and each element you want to get shorter and shorter. So this one could be like a half, and then, you know, like a quarter, and then an eighth, and then a 16th, and that'll actually, the magnetic field will close in, and when it closes in, I mean, it's kind of like a sniper rifle. As cringe as that sounds, like, you can really pick up on stuff. Now, there is diminishing returns once you get to, like, you know, past the 16th, but you can add 4 or 5 of these elements to increase the gain and bring it in. So like I said, essentially, as long as they're transmitting, once you get the initial frequency, you know, you pick up on the initial transmission and plug it in. And now you're just trying to find it. So I'm scanning. I'm not really getting anything but static. I'm not getting anything over here, but I know they're talking. I can hear them on the omnidirectional antenna over here that we picked up, the first radio. So with the second radio, I'm just looking. Oh, I'm getting static. I'm getting static. I can hear them, but it's kind of hard. Oh, right there. Hit it. Okay. So I know at least with this boundary, with this V boundary, you can sit here, get a dry erase marker on a map, and mark. You want to look, you want to see where you are with a compass, you know, put a compass over here, whatever. I'd probably try to keep it away from the beam as far as possible, or anything metal. And I look at the compass, and I'd say, all right, I'm shooting my azimuth with this. So I'd get down on the map, and I'd, with a dry erase marker, I'd find, you know, exactly with the compass where I'm looking at, and then, all right, we found that one. Now you can continue to go, we're going. All right, static. We hit static right over here. So I know that it's in between this line right here and this line right here. I know it's in between there, and I know since we have roughly a 30-degree projection from the tip of this, from this dipole right here, I mean, you know, it could go on for miles, but you have a general idea of where they're at. More than a general idea. You know exactly within this 30-degree funnel, this little span right here, they're over there somewhere. And even though that gets bigger the farther away they are, you can pretty much just get closer and closer, and then that signal will get smaller and smaller. And that's how you do it. You know, a compass and a map is a must-have, really, if you're going to do this and actually conduct operations with it. But that's how you do it, and that's how you do it effectively. Now, the last thing that you need for the ops is the Appalachian sniper system. Or, now this ain't the sniper system, but I was running this bolt action right here. And, I don't know, I've been running my bolt action a lot. You know, I'm trying to work on my bolt action skills and everything, and honestly, I'm making a version of the Appalachian sniper system because I have a lot of Canadian viewers and stuff like that, and all they can have is bolt actions, and there's a lot of people from around the world. I'm kind of redeveloping the Appalachian sniper system to be more for the stubborn people and for people that can't necessarily have semi-automatic platforms. Now, the M110 sniper platform is the king, and that is the answer, but you know, something like this could be the next best thing. It's just a matter of me personally trying to innovate the system for me and for a jungle type or dense forest setting with lots of rolling hills. So, anyways, this is the rifle that killed the Sprite gang. Pictures, RIP, my boys. Couldn't pass down $1 million though. I mean, I'm operation poor. I can't pass down money. You offer me $1 million to off some people. I mean, you know. Patriotic duties is an American. This is all jokes, by the way. This is all jokes, just so you know. This whole thing, dude. I was gonna make it a lot more realistic, and I thought about it. I'm like, no, we gotta do like Pepsi and Sprite or something, because like people are gonna think I'm out here actually like shooting people. But yeah, that's how you kill the opposition. I mean, that's how you track down the opposition. And yep. So, real talk though, that really does work. I mean, like if you're in war, especially if there's other guerrilla groups that you have to worry about. Even like conventional militaries. But guys, you have to understand this. This technology and stuff, it's really cool to sit here and think about. But conventional militaries have, I'm not saying this to be like schizo, I just know what they have and what I've seen. And it's like, no, they don't have, you have to wear a tinfoil hat and all this crap. And like the projection beams from space and laser beams from space. They don't have that kind of stuff. But when it comes to them tracking communications, they have trillions of dollars to spend on the best possible equipment. Billions of dollars in budget just for the communications of the DoD. You know what I'm saying? And that's just America. Other countries still have millions of dollars. So like these $60 radios can only do so much. And then, you have steps too. You got analog, and then you got analog with scramble. We did a whole video on that. And then you got DMR, and then you got digital, and then you got digital with encryption, which is, unless you got a business license in the US, you are not supposed to do that. But continuing after that, and then you got more encryption, and then it's just, I haven't even studied past that far because it's just so far out there. It's like 0.5% of the US, 0.5% of the world knows how to do that. And I'm not saying it's useless to know that. Don't break any laws. Follow all local, state, federal laws. I'm not saying it's useless to have that knowledge or to have that equipment, but if there's war and there's tanks in the streets, man, you need to know how to shoot, move, and communicate first and foremost. You need to know how to camo stuff and hide. You want to know what this rifle looks like? It's got a polished stainless steel barrel, and it's white. Snow camo on it. Snow camo. And I about guarantee, when I was in my position, you couldn't even see it. You might have been able to see the end of the polished barrel, but I even covered that up and still made shots on target. So I just got to be honest, guys. Like, you need to work on your camouflage and your fighting skills and your field craft and all that crap and shooting and moving, communicating before any of this radio stuff, besides the very general basics. And then when you start doing stuff like this, in my head, you need to have, like I said, you need to know what a wedge formation is, columns, files. You need to know or have a basic soldering ability to shoot, move, and communicate before you even start worrying about all this comm stuff. Because to be honest, even if you're just listening, especially if you transmit, there's other people listening and they will find you. They can find you just like that. With a cut-up tape measure and some 16 gauge wire and some, a coax in, they can find you that easy. So just stay away from the comms if you can, but if you absolutely have to use the radio, or if it's a disaster scenario or something, then yeah, go ahead and use it. But really, especially analog will get you killed. DMR or digital is a step up. That's just how it is. I don't say this stuff to nitpick. I say this stuff because I don't get joy out of telling people it'll get you killed. It's just one of them things. I tell people it'll get you killed so you don't die. And, it has its place for certain situations. But if we're going to war, something kicks off tomorrow, and we are going to war, like I said, they're Russian or Chinese or aliens or whatever in the street, with tanks and AK-47s and all kinds of crazy crap. I would probably not be on the radio. I might be listening and scanning, but I probably would not be on the radio. Urban or rural, it doesn't matter. I most likely would not be on that damn radio. I would have my cell phone off. Like, the only intelligence is from my own personal reconnaissance, mine, and like in that case, a team of some sort that I would put together, because there's no way, no possible way, man. You're asking for your house to get mortared at that point if there's tanks in the streets. And it's really a no-win situation, but I have to be the devil's advocate in these videos. Just so I'm like, here, this could happen and this could happen. In every video, I seem to be a pessimist, but I just want you guys to be like, hey, this could happen. It's probably not going to happen, but just keep this in mind. And here are signs that it could be happening. So, yeah, I mean, we made some good shots, pictures and stuff. We took out the Sprite gang, and I know this was a little bit more long-winded than it needed to be. And I apologize, the equipment was not working, and I brought the wrong adapter, but hopefully you get the gist. I'm going to try to supplement that with text box after text box to really get it out there, and, yep. So, like I said, I apologize for everything, but you know, you got to power through sometimes. Like, comment, subscribe. Au revoir. A bientôt. Peace.